Leadership has many faces, many paths, many inspirations. I'm Dhru and I'm here to explore the different leadership journeys that my guests are on and what's inspired them along the way. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Leadership Live. My name is Dhru and I'm here with a good friend and partner, James Bonato. He's an amazing videographer and filmmaker, and he's made a very special film recently called Running with a Covert Narcissist. James, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
The topic that it covers is something that I don't think a lot of people know a lot about. They use the term narcissist a lot, but they don't really dive into really what it is. So what is a covert narcissist exactly?
A covert narcissist is somebody who has symptoms of NPD, and that stands for Narcissistic Personality Disorder, and it is very difficult to understand. So difficult that covert narcissists themselves don't know that they have it, or they're in denial that they have it. Okay? Unfortunately, 100% of the people who are victims of covert narcissism, they didn't know what it was either until it was too late because the damage had been done. So I can't come to you from a professional perspective. All right? I am not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. You're the life coach. I am just a victim turned survivor. But the last thing that I wanted to do was to become an expert on covert narcissism. But now I know it like the back of my hand. What is this thing here? So when I talk about covert narcissists to people, about covert narcissists, some of them, they sit up straight in their chair and their eyes fly wide open. They go, oh my gosh, James, I have somebody in my life that fits to a T what you're describing.
Yeah.
Okay? Not every covert narcissist fits to a T the description, because there's this wide spectrum, very wide spectrum where they fall into, and not everybody is on the acute end. Mm-hmm. And I think that everything that I say in this interview about covert narcissists, that may not fit the mold either, because there's so many variables and tributaries that run off it. But I think we can agree that everyone has a covert narcissist in their life, whether we know it or not. So would you agree that they're kind of hard to spot at the beginning?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I myself have met a number of them in my life. And until you, like you said, until you're aware of the term to call them, initially you just call them an asshole. But once you find out there's an actual medical term for it, then you're like, oh, that makes sense, right? It fits that description, those symptoms fit. And as you're talking about it, I can't help but realize that this probably applies to people, like you said, everyone probably has one in their life, but it applies to people of all walks of life. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO of a company or, a janitor somewhere, or if you're just a social worker or something like that. You've probably come across a number of these folks. And obviously social workers, life coaches, therapists, folks like that probably come across them a lot more often than the average person, right?
Yeah. You know what we should do? We should probably draw a thumbnail sketch of you and the covert narcissist and the beginning of the relationship and how it transcends. In the beginning, everything is peachy keen.
Yep.
Everything is hunky-dory, because covert narcissists are very, very charming people. And the relationship is going along, and you start to see red flags pop up. And you can't quite put your finger on it, but you kind of just chalk it up to, it's a character flaw. We all have them, and you're absolutely happy to accept them for who they are. I mean, who cares really? They care. Mm-hmm. Do we have any music? Dun, music would be great here, but we don't have that, so I'll continue. So a covert narcissist, at one point they'll turn on you, and they'll go for your jugular. Mm-hmm. And you don't know why. What in the world did you do? Okay? To have this friend attack you. Okay? They start to gaslight you. They start to push your buttons. They start to manipulate you. They make you feel absolutely terrible about yourself. And it's like getting hit on the head with a 2x4.
So James, you mentioned a term that I think that folks may not be familiar with. That term is called gaslighting, right? Would you mind sharing quickly what that is?
Yeah, it's like they make you question your own reality. Okay? It's like they'll say something and says, well, I don't think I really meant that. And it kind of carries on from there.
Yeah. So that they basically they're so manipulative that and then deeply manipulative that they'll make you question if they even said something or if you even said something, and they'll target your insecurities in the ways that they'll say if you're insecure about, for example, being clingy or being too close to someone in a relationship, they'll be like, "Oh, you're so clingy," even if you're not at all, and then you'll start questioning, "Wait, am I clingy? Am I doing the wrong thing here?" Something like that.
Yeah. And you know what that leads to?
Insanity.
Yeah, actually it does. No, it leads to the fact that there's going to come a point in the relationship, and you've already reached it, where they don't need you as a friend anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You are no longer putting them on a pedestal. You are no longer making them feel special about themselves. In fact, you are challenging them, which is what true friends do to each other. They challenge each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you never, ever challenge a covert narcissist. You didn't know that. You didn't even know that they were a covert narcissist.
Right.
You didn't know what a covert narcissist was. Okay? Well, what happened was is you penetrated their facade a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. You had no idea how grandiose their facade was. And they're very good at that because they disguise themselves very, very well. But when you penetrated that, you see, and you kind of challenged them at who they were, they don't like that. Okay? And quite frankly, you've reached a point where you've signed your own death warrant. Okay? This was your fault. They had no choice but to react this way. They had no choice but to destroy you. Okay?
And I want to point out something that you just said, that they had no choice, right? That's a really powerful idea because they refuse to take any responsibility for anything too. Nothing is ever their fault. Nothing is ever they're perfect. They have to be perfect to everybody, right? And part of exposing that facade that you described is letting them know that they may not be perfect, and that challenge to them is so threatening that they now assault you, and maybe not physically, but they try to destroy you.
Yeah. And it drives home the point that it sounds crazy, and it might sound that I'm exaggerating. I am not exaggerating. Because we've really taken a little piece of their control away.
Mm-hmm.
And covert narcissists are all about control. They have to control you. They have to control everybody. They have to control everything. So next up is the smear campaign. Okay? Smear campaign can be done very many different ways. Of course, it's aimed at you, but it involves your friends. Okay? And a kind of like a generic, vanilla way of describing it, I'll kind of do it like a little play acting, all right? I'll be the covert narcissist and I'm talking to one of your friends about you,
Right.
all right? So I'm the covert narcissist and I'll say, you know, they're off kilter. They've got some deep-rooted issues, which I have tried to help them with, but now they're attacking me on it, which I don't like. I'm not the sick one. I did nothing wrong. I'm fine. But I need to let you know, as their friend, what's happening. And I actually need to solicit your help in taking care of this person and getting him out of my life. Well, okay, so that's the end of the play acting. And there was a whole bunch of different little components to that little play that I did. But the one thing that I wanted to get across was projection. Okay? They'll take their deep-rooted issues, paint you as having those deep-rooted issues to your friends. So you see what I'm saying? Your friends are now looking at you as if you had the deep-rooted issues, not them.
So something you said just now is actually really important, and the role play you just did illustrated a couple of things. But one thing I want to highlight is that they not only did they paint you and project everything about you being having the issues that they have, but they also made it seem like they're doing this out of concern. And so they're not only manipulating you, but now they're manipulating your friends into believing that they're trying to help you. And so they're like making your friends their allies and trying to help you, but in reality, they're actually doing the opposite, which is even more sinister, right?
Very well said. Very well said. So before we go any further with this interview, there's something I got to get off my chest. I said earlier that I was a victim turned survivor, which is absolutely true. And it took me a long time to get here. Now, I know we've got the cameras rolling and lights, and I'm speaking with aplomb and everything, but I don't want to have anybody get the impression that I'm some 100% well-rounded person, okay, because I'm not. All right. Uh, I know something about covert narcissism, but I am not the be-all, know-all of covert narcissism. I'm just a filmmaker, okay? In fact, I'm not the be-all, know-all of anything, all right? When I was younger, I drank a lot of water from Camp Lejeune, you see, so I have some issues to carry out. And thank God for that, because if I was perfect, then I wouldn't have any challenges in my life. So now I can continue, now that I got that off my chest. So the next thing is the two bullets that a covert narcissist fires at you. The first, and for the life of me, I don't know which bullet is harder to take, but the first bullet is the attack on you, which I've already described, and you didn't deserve that attack. The second bullet is the pain of knowing that your circle of friends and colleagues now look at you in a different light. And the color of that light is a different hue, it's an incorrect shade, and it's going to keep you up at night, which the covert narcissist loves, by the way. And you're going to have this instinct to want to get your friends back. So you actually have three groups of friends. You have your true friends, and they're not going to leave you, okay? They're there. There may be times where it feels like they left you, because the covert narcissist does such an excellent job of isolating you from your friends and your whole world. But they know who you are, and when the covert narcissist talks to your true friends, they're going to know it's hogwash. Okay? And they don't let on to the covert narcissist that they know. The second group of friends are these friends that come out of the woodwork to protect you. All right? And it's one of the very few silver linings in this whole fiasco. They were kind of like surface friends, and you had no idea that they had such character, and it's a wonderful surprise. And they react to the covert narcissist the same way that your true friends did. Okay? Either because they surmised both of us and they said, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I know this person. Or they've dealt with a covert narcissist before and they know what they look like. Mm-hmm. The third group of friends and colleagues, those are the ones that you're going to lose. That group is never going to look at you the way they used to look at you. Okay? That is because the covert narcissist brilliantly concocted this convincing scheme against you, which, by the way, they've done before. They're an expert at it.
And that sounds incredibly painful and harrowing to go through. To have to even question who are my real friends and who are the true friends and who are the ones who are going to leave me and why are they leaving me, and going through that whole process. It sounds frankly terrifying and extremely frustrating. And again, that contributes to that whole questioning your sanity, potentially driving you insane. So how do you come back from that? How do you heal from that?
It's very hard to recover from the two bullets, but there's a lot of things that you can do. I can tell you some of the things that I did, and I'm talking right now directly to the victims. There's a couple of things, tools that I used, and the tools that I used were the same tools that I used in my past on other challenges that I did with the covert narcissist. It's one word, and it's a beautiful word, and that word, my friend, is love. Love is the reason why we are all here. It connects us all. Love is written in the mission statement of everybody's purpose in life. We all have different purposes in life, but somehow love is in the mission statement. Love is the opposite of hate. Therefore, love is the opposite of covert narcissism. And covert narcissism and hate are old companions. So, yeah, there are many different things that you can do. You can seek therapy. You can hire a therapist or perhaps a life coach. That's where you would come in. You can seek a survivor. That's where I would come in. There are many proactive things that you can do. I think that one thing that a covert narcissist, that a victim does immediately, is they choose withdrawal. And quite frankly, the withdrawal is warranted because, like you said, it's a very, very difficult thing to go through. However, once you are past the initial shock of what happened to you, you can get up off the floor stand up from the canvas and show the world who you are. All right? Show people that you've got guts and integrity, something the covert narcissist doesn't have. Remember earlier how I said that they're on a spectrum? We survivors are on a spectrum, true. And if we get knocked down and we stand back up, and if we get knocked down again and we stand up again, it becomes part of your character. Stepping up to the plate and taking a swing is better than just sitting in a dugout. You dare to fail. Okay? There's a couple of things that you can choose that I don't approve of. You can be vindictive, which will backfire on you. You can choose to go like on this campaign to get your friends back. And Dhru, why don't you tell me how that campaign is going to go?
Not terribly well most of the time, because like you said, the true friends are still going to be there. They never left. The ones who left are not going to come back, because they still see you in a different light. But I do want to highlight something you said. A couple things you said actually. First thing, you don't have to be alone. You have to deal with it alone, right? You can take the time to withdraw and do what you need to do, but as quickly as possible, get back on your feet and seek help, right? That's I think that's a powerful thing to do, and it takes a lot of courage to do that as well. But the other thing I want to mention is the vindictiveness part as a solution, or I should say a reaction, because it's not a solution. Narcissists are much better at being vindictive than you are. So if you play that game with them, you're going to lose, like you said.
Uh, uh, I think to become a survivor, the first thing that you're going to have to understand is that you're not going to get justice for all this.
Yeah.
Okay? It is a hard pill to swallow. But it's like radical acceptance. Okay? The second thing that you have to do is to clear your refrigerator, which is an interesting analogy. It's very much like opening up a refrigerator door and you see fruits and vegetables, and in the corner is this bowl of rotting, rancid meat that stinks to high heck. And you know what that is, right? So if you're opening up the refrigerator door and you're choosing the fruits and vegetables and you're not addressing the bowl of rancid meat, it's very much like saying, you know what? I don't want to deal with this covert narcissist situation anymore. I want to point towards greener pastures. But quite frankly, you have to take that bowl out of the refrigerator and deal with it. Because if you just keep opening up and you keep getting that waft, that kind of symbolizes the triggers. And there are a lot of triggers in this whole situation. Okay? That's why you have to deal with the bowl of rotting meat. You have to say, you know what? I have to relive what they said to me, how I reacted, what they said to my friends, what my friends did, what I could have done. You have to relive all that stuff. You have to say, you know what? I am in the middle of hell right now. Okay? There's fire all around me. I understand I'm in hell, and I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to back up and go around it. I'm going to go through this fire and get to the end and empty that bowl of rancid meat. Now, I love the refrigerator analogy.
I love it too.
It's a darn shame it's not mine. I stole it from a professional therapist.
No, it's a beautiful analogy.
It is.
It's so vivid, right? You
Yeah,
can see it.
yeah.
You can almost smell it, honestly.
You did one too. I filmed a seminar once where you said you started out with this color movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you explain that again?
Yeah. So it's an NLP trick, neuro linguistic programming. That's what trick, but it's a strategy if you want. The idea being that visualization is a positive visualization. So what it is you take an image of something or a scene of something that happened to you, right? Typically it works if it's for something traumatic, relatively like really traumatic, you want to do a little more work on it. But something minorly traumatic, like something that's just frustrating or annoying to you, that's something that pissed you off or got you really upset, you can take that image, that video of what happened, watch it on a movie screen in your head, right? And imagine it playing. Imagine it playing on a loop. You're seeing it over and over again. And as you watch this loop, you want to change it to black and white, right? And act like you're changing the dials on a TV for those people who have TVs that have dials, which is not anymore. But anyway, act like you're adjusting the settings on your remote. Right?
Yeah.
You're changing the contrast. You're changing it so it's like you're barely visible. It looks a little weird. You're making it black and white. You're making it smaller and smaller and smaller. So it goes from a TV screen size to the size of maybe an Apple Watch or a Samsung Watch for those of you who are Android users. And you're making it super small so you can barely see it. And as you're doing this, you're playing some kind of funny, stupid music that makes you laugh, whatever that music might be. And over time, if you visualize this, close your eyes and visualize this properly. This is obviously not the proper way I'm describing this, but the way you would do it in a session would be to actually visualize it, close your eyes, and watch it happen, watch it shrink, listen to the music playing, and it loses all meaning. It loses all the pain, all the frustration to doing it, or at least most of it. And so that impact on you becomes much, much less.
That is a cool solution.
Yeah,
That is a really neat thing. You know,
the brain is a powerful thing.
it is. You know, I can build on that in a certain way. You know, the first thing that I would tell a victim is to take the pain that they're feeling and use that as a tool to grow.
Mm.
Okay? This pain is a temporary thing. That is, if you choose it to be a temporary thing.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. The covert narcissist had their turn, they did what they did, and now it's your turn. And if you're smart, you're going to use your turn to just attack life with the love that you have. That's the solution. And I think that you're going to find out that the prime reason that you're going to get out of this thing is to really, really look at yourself. Look at yourself deeper than you've ever looked at yourself before. And it might be the very hardest thing that you've ever done. And it's going to take a long time to do. But eventually you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to start to see pride again. And other people are going to see that pride in you. Covert narcissists cannot see any pride in their mirror. And they are jealous as heck that you can see pride in your mirror and they can't see any pride in theirs. And it'd be a damn shame if the covert narcissist was going to dictate to you what you were going to be like for the rest of your life. You cannot let that happen. I can't let that happen. That's why I made the film.
Yeah.
Okay? People of character, empath, stand-up people. Those are the enemy of the covert narcissist. And as far as empathy goes, it is said that empaths are prey for the covert narcissist. I have to agree with that to a certain point because as empaths, we look at our friends and we feel what they feel. And we don't want them to be alone. Okay? That's written in our mission statement. Okay? And it also explains why empaths are drawn to covert narcissists. Because we know they're alone. They have a lot of shame, and we feel that shame. You know, they can smile and be charming all that they want, but we know they're alone. And it's said that empaths live in a world where vulnerability is an asset. Well, I don't know about today's age. I think a covert narcissist fares a lot better, don't you think?
I think it depends. I think, like you said, when you lean on the true friends, when you lean on the people who are there for you, and you protect yourself in ways where you educate yourself about what's out there, and understand that there are risks out there. There are people out there who are not, I hate to say it, but not worth your time, not worth your energy. Right? It reminds me of the book Give and Take. Have you heard of that book?
No.
It's not a direct analogy, but it's a close analogy. The book is actually really fascinating. It's about networking primarily, business networking. And it's about givers and takers and matchers, right? The people out there who are giving constantly, right? Giving referrals, passing business to everybody they know and everyone they care about and whatever. They'll readily give you everything they've got, right? And then takers, people who are just literally there to take. People who are there to just accept everything. They're not going to give anything back, they're just going to take. And then there are matchers, people who are saying, okay, you gave me something, so I'll give you something back. Right? I'll give you that reciprocal arrangement. The book is a research study that they did between givers, takers, and matchers. So, can you guess who the most successful on a longitudinal study were out of the three?
The takers?
No,
The givers.
the givers.
Oh, that's good to hear.
But who was the least successful?
The takers.
The givers.
Oh, they both.
They're both. The takers and matchers were in the middle. The matchers did better than takers. Takers long term did not do well because people start identifying them. But the givers who did well gave, but also tempered that giving. because they responded to what they got back. They understand, okay, some people is not worth giving to, right? The givers who just continuously gave freely and didn't discriminate between people who are worth giving to and people who are not worth giving to, they got taken advantage of and they ended up at the bottom. Same thing with empaths, right? There are empaths out there who are successful, who are really happy and really live fulfilling lives because they understand how to temper that empathy. If you can't temper the empathy, if you choose or choose not to go down the path of learning how to temper your empathy, you're going to get hurt over and over and over and over again, and people will start targeting you for that because they know they can prey an easy victim.
Great point. Great point. You know, Dhru, you inspire me a lot. This world, this life, can't be for naught. There's been too many people who have gone before us that have inspired us, okay?
Yeah.
And they've blazed the path on where we're supposed to follow, okay? And we have to honor them by following that path. There may be days where you think that you're never going to get over this covert narcissist thing, okay? But you know what? There's going to be a moment that comes. It's actually, it isn't even a moment. It's like a couple of seconds. You'll be moving along, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it'll hit you. You'll go, oh my gosh, I got it! I actually got it. The covert narcissist does not belong in my life. They don't deserve me as a friend. I can't let them dominate what I'm thinking of. I have to absolutely throw them away totally. Now, there's a little bit of a challenge when you throw them away, because when you throw them away, you also have to throw away your code of helping people and showing love. You feel me?
I do, and I'll temper that again though.
Okay.
Your code of helping people needs to be a code where you help people who are willing to help themselves and willing to seek out help.
Very good. Very good.
Because there are narcissists worth saving, I'm sure.
Say that again.
There are narcissists worth saving or worth working with, right? There are ones who realize, hey, I have these qualities or these characteristics, I need help, and they go to therapy. They go actually try to because it is a disease, right? It's a mental disorder. That's why it's called an NPD, right? Disorder is the last word. So it's something that can be treatable if they choose to get treatment seriously, not go to therapy just to show, right? Which many of them do. But if you go to therapy, like with anything else, like alcoholism, with gambling addiction, with anything like that, if you're choosing to seek out help and actively, really, truly dedicate yourself to getting help with that, then they deserve your empathy. Then they deserve your love. But if they're choosing to ignore their own signs and embrace their disease and say, you know what, I am what I am, and I'm going to manipulate everybody in the world I can, and be selfish, be self-centered, be a narcissist, then they don't deserve your love. Then they don't deserve that. Because if your code doesn't account for that, then your code is setting you up for failure.
You know what it's driven me to? We survivors, we kind of choose our new friends a little bit more carefully now.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have wide open arms and just see immediately the good in people. We're a little bit more selective. And I know when I chose my covert narcissist as a friend, I chose her because I saw something in her and I believed in her. And even after the gaslighting and the manipulation and the lies, I still wanted to follow my code. And I can remember talking to you about it, and you were very matter of fact with me. Remember earlier how I said that true friends challenge each other? That's what you were doing. You were challenging me. And you were trying to get it through to my head that it's not my responsibility to fix her.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to hear that. And you knew that I didn't want to hear that, but you said it anyway because that's what you had to do. And I think that is a very good sign of a good friend. And I wanted to thank you for that.
My pleasure, James. Like you said, I mean, your code is to help everyone who you can help, and mine is similar, right?
Okay.
And mine is, again, tempered. It was originally help everybody I possibly can, right? Help everybody in the world if I can. But the if I can part is the key. And if I can means that if they seek out help, if they want help, you can't save people from themselves. Right? And that's something I realized a long time ago, and I only in the last 5 years really have I really started to really digest that and really implement it. But I realized it a long time ago, and it hurt the first time I realized it. Hurt like all hell, because I felt like a failure, and I'm sure that's something you felt as well when you were dealing with this person.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So should we finally talk about the film?
Was there a film? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about the film. Tell us about. I mean, I've seen the film. It's phenomenal. It's not like your other films, but that I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that that's actually it's different. It's a different kind of film, and I personally loved it. But tell us more about what. I mean, obviously you're a survivor, so that's something that inspired you. But tell us more about the film in general.
Yeah, it's a very, very gritty film, and it was a departure for me because it's just something that I had to do. I had to make the film. It almost was like therapy for me. For the first three films, it was very difficult to get people involved in it. This one, what people were crawling out of the woodwork to be in the film. Therapists wanted to be in the film, and I have three really good therapists in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a whole bunch of victims who really wanted to be in the film, and they were just emailing me and contacting me through Facebook, and I couldn't believe it. And I had like 50 of them. And I narrowed it down to six, and then I finally narrowed it down to three who wanted to be in the film, and the three stories balanced each other. And all three of these people, actually even more than the three people, they wanted to be in the film, and I was like, great. And then I was told, this is, you can't have them in the film. I said, no, they're volunteering. He goes, no. You can't have their face, you can't have their voice, you can't have their name, you can't have anything because the covert narcissists would come after them. They could come after you. You're the producer. So I hired actors to fill the roles, and it was very tough to make because I kept going back to my situation. But parts of it were very pleasurable to make. And anybody can see it by going on the website. And the website has information about covert narcissism as well as watching the film.
Yeah. And like I said, I watched the film. It's amazing. And what I loved about it, one of the things I loved about it, was that you took three different perspectives, and they're very different perspectives of the covert narcissists and how they show up, how they impact other folks. What I like about the film, especially at the end, though, is the hope piece, right? The kind of like the coming back piece. Like this is there's help out there for you. The recovery is out there, right?
That's why I made the film. I made the film for many, many reasons, but the primary reason was to expose what covert narcissism is to people because a lot of people don't know what it is. I mean, I didn't know what it was until it hit me.
Yeah.
And the other reason is I wanted to have victims feel that they're not alone and they have a community that they can rely on.
Yeah. Well, I think mission accomplished. It's an amazing film, and as you were talking, there's a comedian named Veer Das. He's an Indian comedian. He's I think he's really funny when he talks about non-political stuff. The political stuff is all Indian, so it goes over everyone's head. But he has a recent special on it on Netflix, which is really cool, and a couple lines which are really philosophical in nature. One of them resonates with me though, as you were talking, and that's that because he went through his own kind of thing. He wasn't with covert narcissism or anything like that, but he was with. He went to a really dark place, and what he said was, "Hate is loud, but love is quiet, and it's still there. It's always there, but you don't always hear it over the hate, but it's always there under the surface." And I think that's something that resonated when you were talking about, especially about the true friends, the people they're always there, right? And they'll come out of the woodwork when the time comes, but you don't always hear them over the hate.
Mm-hmm. Very good point.
Well, James, thanks so much for joining me today. Everyone, James's film, there's a link in the description below to check out the website where it's there. You'll also find some resources about covert narcissism, as well as some links to some psychiatrists and therapists who might be able to help you. If you are dealing with that, please reach out, seek help. There's help out there for you, whether it's a survivor, whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapist. There's a lot of help out there for you. Do not feel like you have to deal with this alone. James, thank you so much. Anything you want to leave folks with before we hop off here?
You said it all, brother.
Thanks, man. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, you did.
Thanks so much. Appreciate
All right,
it.
take care, brother.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks, dude.